What's up everyone, my name's Colin, welcome to 4 Ounce Insight. In this video we're going to talk about UFC 297, the first UFC of the year. I would say a good all-round card. There was some decisions in there that weren't so great, but there was some fantastic performances. And before I get onto the main event, we've got to give a shout out to Raquel Pennington. Really good to see her not only win the belt but rebuild her career after what can only be described as getting the absolute snot beaten out of her by Amanda Nunes. Like that, she took a hell of a beating, and quite honestly I didn't think we'd ever see her in the octagon again. Very slowly and methodically built up her record again, took on some tough fights. And then, and then winning against a super tough Bueno Silva. I don't think Silva fought I don't know if she fought to her game plan necessarily, but still, what a comeback from Raquel. From that appalling hiding she took to coming back and being the women's bantamweight champion. It's impressive. I think she was also on the Ultimate Fighter with Ronda Rousey. And then Ronda had that little click for a while. I think she was calling them like the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse, or the Four Horsewomen. And I can't think of another fighter out of that little group that stuck around in the UFC. I think it was the same one with Juliana Pena on as well. Anyway, I digress. Main event, Sean Strickland, Dricus Duplessis, or as DDP they're now calling him on the commentary booth, which is an insult. There is only one DDP, and that is Diamond Dallas Page. Don't ever forget that, people. But I'm not going to lie, it's much easier than saying Dricus Duplessis. Duplessis? Yeah. Whatever his name is. I'm going to go with DDP maybe. Yeah. That... Tight fight. Not a robbery. Definitely not a robbery. But I do still feel like... I still feel like Strickland won. My instinct was, as soon as the fight was over, Strickland was the winner. I watched it again, and I'm still pretty sure. For me, he took 1, 2, and 5. Like, that's what I felt. He definitely... I think the trouble was, there was a couple of rounds there where Duplessis really stamped the end of the round. You know, Strickland has the majority of the first half of the round, and then over time Duplessis wins it back and then really leaves that image in the judge's mind of him being on top. And possibly the second could be viewed by that. But to be perfectly honest, I think Strickland won. I think he won 3-2. Dana White agreed. So me and the boss man are agreeing. But yeah, it was a close fight. For me, the first 2 rounds, first of all, Strickland's jab on point. His checking of leg kicks. Like, his defense was so good in the first 2 rounds. And we didn't see the long sort of blocking that he was using. His jab is... Whatever his reach is, when he throws a jab, it's like a go-go gadget arm. People think they can get out of the way. I mean, not only is it quick and incredibly accurate, but Izzy had the same problem. Like, the jab is so long. I was trying to think why it is, whether it's because he stands quite square and he's sometimes he's throwing his jab from here, that he's got all that shoulder rotation, and they're used to seeing fights just slightly offset, and maybe the distance, or it could just be that there's no tell on it. And so that they're starting to slip and fade back when it's already halfway to him. I don't know. But his jab looks way longer than it should. and it was so accurate. I mean, he was shutting Duplessis' eye, and he just kept hitting that same spot. Bang, bang, bang. And then, you know, takedowns. Every time he hit the mat, Strickland seemed to get up. Some, you know, I think for the first time seeing Strickland fight since becoming the champion, I don't know if it weighed on him a little bit. Now, you wouldn't think that. You'd think he's quite a, you know, in the moment present guy. And generally, you know, outside of the octagon, very loud, brash, says these things. But let's face it, we've all kind of warmed to him. I know I have. I'm in now. I'm all in. I'm a Strickland fan now. And I never was. But I'm in. But yeah, normally he's loud, and then when he gets in the octagon, he's quite focused. He seems quite calm. It seems to be like he's zen space. I don't know if he did look like there was a bit of pressure there. You know, he was definitely listening to his corner. If you've seen any of his fights, you know he doesn't listen to his corner. He's bouncing up and down trying to get back in there. But then, I feel like in the fifth, he knew he needed that fifth, and he turned it on. And for me, yeah, he won the fight. Was this the most technical fight you're ever going to see? Probably not. I'm still not going to know how this Strickland defense fully works. And I don't know even how best. Like, I think in the past I've said they look like big karate blocks, you know, like traditional martial arts that move their hands in very wide spaces that normally gets battered out of you in a gym because they get you to come back. But he does, he stifles the middle ground. The shot's coming and he's almost blocking it around their bicep. So the shot itself either never makes contact, or that interception gives him the ability just to lean and catch it on the shoulder, off the top of his head, you know. And I think sometimes as well, because there's a couple of times where you see him roll, it looks like he's been hit, and I don't think he has. I think it's been caught. He's defended it well. But just because of his motion, maybe, I don't know. Like, the commentary team universally for the last 6 months have definitely been pushing damage. You know, judges are going to score damage. And if you look at the two fighters, one of them was battered, and it wasn't Strickland. Now, Strickland looked like a bloody mess, but every time he got wiped down, there was only a few cuts there. I think he had a little one on the outside of his eye, a little one on the inside of, or under his eye, maybe around the bridge of his nose, one on the top of his head, which created a visual. It definitely created a visual of damage. But when you see him walk out after the fight, when he's leaving the arena, you know, he didn't look that bad. Whereas Duplessis, when he was doing the press conference, looked like a cabbage. What did he say? Cauliflower. That was a good shot. He looked like cauliflower. His face was swollen. He had lumps and bumps. He had a few on the back of his head as well. So I think some shots didn't quite hit their target. But these boys were scrapping. Now, I'm surprised Dana didn't want to do a rubber match and spin it around quite quickly. And that leads me to think that he's already got something else lined up. Because why wouldn't you do that one? It's going to sell. It's definitely going to sell. And is it just the easy thing? As is he indicated that he wants to come back and fight one of these guys? Because I think in a post-fight conference, I'm sure it was MacLife guys. Someone asked the question, is this the guy to take you to Africa? And Dana says, it's most definitely the guy who could take us back to, or could take us to our first big event in Africa. Which seems a little bit shocking considering at one stage you had Ngannou, Izzy and Kamaru Usman all from that country. Andrakis is kind of South African. I know it's all part of the same continent, but where are you going? You're going South Africa or one of the other many African countries? I don't know where he's ending up. But yeah, it's a bit... It felt like a bit like, oh, the guy's just become a champ. He's been in the sport fairly quickly. His rise has been very, very quick. And he's the guy to take you back. Seemed, unless he's got the Izzy fight planned for Africa. Ooh. Then I'd call him DDP. Izzy versus DDP in Africa. That could be a big fight. That could be a monster fight. Anyway, where am I going? Mr. Duplessis. Is he going to be a long reigning champion? I don't think so. I was impressed that he went 5 rounds. I was shocked he went 5 rounds. We've definitely seen him look a bit tired in previous fights, and we've seen him gas as well. Come in unbelievable condition. Still doesn't look very coordinated to me. Maybe it's just me. He looks like a gangly Alsatian. Like, you know, when dogs grow a bit and they've got long arms and paws. They're not quite coordinated yet. So maybe he's still developing, and maybe the fighter that he will be in 5 years or 3 years will be a very different one. Or maybe he's just never going to look that way. I mean, his proportions are funny. He's got a huge chest and his shoulders are way, way back, and he's got little arms. Yeah, so maybe it's just the way he looks. But I think really the difference was that he always tried to leave it so that he was in a dominant position or the ascendant in the end of the round. And I think, like I said, I had Strickland 1-2-5. But at the end of the second, Duplessis was starting to take over that fight. And maybe that's where the judges went off and veered off. So when we look at the division, there's a lot of guys that have already fought each other. So there are some fun fights there. And I think, you know, the trouble is, like I said, that when we run through this bit by bit, this division's had a bit of a turnaround and quick. And while Izzy was at the top of the pile, while Izzy was world champion, he kind of eliminated, one, a lot of the challengers, and two, most of the people below him have fought each other already. So some of these fights are never going to, you know, some of the fights we've seen before. And how do you structure this now? You know, Rob Whittaker's fought Izzy and Duplessis, so he's kind of stuck. Jared Cannonier's had a shot. I mean, he could definitely go. I'm sure he'd be calling. Martin Vettori, he will definitely scream and shout and ask for a fight. We've still got Paulo Costa, even though we haven't seen him for an age. I think he's even still ranked. I can't remember the last time he had a fight. And then, like, for me, we need, like, Hamzat to come crashing through and shake things up. And he needs some big names up there. You know, stick up middleweight. He's a big lad anyway. But let's give him one of the top guys. It's got to be one of the top guys and keep him active. Bit easier said than done, though, isn't it? Really. I don't know if he's even got a fight lined up, but the division's now as unstable as it's going to be, and really is calling out for someone to take it by the horns and really smash it up. I think it was important for Izzy to have some time away from the sport. He can maybe hang out a bit longer and create that atmosphere again, that draw. Oh, Izzy's coming back. But he was just fight fatigued. You can see it happens sometimes. They just need a bit of a break, a bit of a recharge. Stay out of the limelight for a little while. You know, he had some personal issues as well. The trouble is we're all still saying his name. because I'd see Strickland Izzy again, love it. I'd see Duplessis Izzy, would love it. Strickland Whitaker, yeah. Jared Cannonier, yeah. But like I said, a lot of these guys have fought each other. This is Hamzat's opportunity, shall we say? Hamzat's opportunity to really become a megastar. Because right now, I think people have dodged him, will dodge him. Throw him in there, throw him right at the top. So people need to get round him to get what they want. Then you'll see him fighting. Then you'll see people calling him out constantly. I mean, I think the only person that's been willing to fight him, and like Leon nearly fought him 3 times. Although he may have had a change of heart. But yeah, super great card. Actually enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Wanted Strickland to win because I have warmed to him and I do like him as a fighter. But I don't think I was biased in thinking he got 3 out of the 2 rounds. I don't think I was. And Duplessis, let's see what's next. But like I said, I don't think he's going to be a long reigning champion. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. Sometimes happens, but not often. Until next time, everybody, thanks for watching. Take care, stay healthy.